Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back to NFR. Welcome back to SAFRL. It's time for Tier 1. It's Monday night. Of course, something a little different tonight. Don't forget, it's a sprint race. So that means we'll be having just the one-shot quali session. If you're not familiar with the format, it means everybody's going to have just one opportunity, just one lap around this circuit to get their best possible time. That will then determine the grid for the sprint race that follows. And then that sprint race, I believe, will determine the order for the start of the feature race. There we go. Cut the cars out on track. It's not some cars, it's all the cars. Everybody's out there at the same time. Of course, if you're trying to keep track of what's going on, it is quite difficult in this format from the commentator's perspective, because we can just see the one car at a time. If you see the timing sheet on the left, man at the top of the field, that will be the quickest man on track at this very moment. So far, Mango, Cheddar, Logic, those are the top three. Things can change very quickly. Just takes one mistake, and the guys are this close together to send you to the rear of the field. Mango, Cheddar, Logic, those three remain the same. Brands 4, Sims 5. Of course, always changing. Can only see one driver at a time, but all of these drivers start simultaneously. Everybody gets one opportunity at a clean race circuit. No chance of traffic. Just you and the tarmac. And if there's any mistakes, it comes all down to you and Mango. Go set the fastest lap of the session. You'll have a better idea of the order when you see those official results, because obviously very difficult to tell in the one-shot quali. So there's the results. Mango is going to be joined on the front row by Cheddar, then Logic P3, Brands P4. We've got Furi P5, Natsumi P6. Then we have Sims, Diag, Mr. Ren, and Pantry Star making up the top 10. In P11, also got Top Gun, then Virus, Andre 13, and Spikes making up the field. Of course, now we get straight into a sprint. We did have that one-shot quali, but you can almost think of this race as your quali session. This is going to determine the grid for the feature race. And it's also going to count for a handful of points if you manage to finish within the top 8. We're looking at the empty pit lane as all the drivers are to our right on the start-finish line doing their final adjustments. Of course, Park Ferme is on, so whatever you chose for that one-shot quali, you're going to have to use in the sprint race. Not many changes you can make, but there are a few tweaks you can make here and there. It's really what tire are you going to start on for sprint race. No need for a pit stop, you go right to the end on one set of tires. Do you risk it, go for the softer compound and hope they hold on at the end, or do you play it slightly safer, go for a slower compound and risk the start of the race not being as good as you would have liked? Of course, we'll only have information on our screens when that race begins. Then we'll have a clearer idea of who's on what tyre, who might be planning what. But for the time being, simply await the drivers getting ready. There we go. Get the dual green lights. That means we're off for a formation lap. Everybody gets a go. Get some tyre temperature. Somebody already taking out a brake marker on the formation lap. Maybe a bit of strategy to disrupt your opponents, take out the brake markers. Not a bad idea. Good to have Thiago also in the bombing section. Also in the cockpit doing a formation lap. Not quite sure how he does both. Well, the Mercedes does have a WhatsApp button on its steering wheel. Maybe the Williams has a YouTube button on the steering wheel. Just a little about the race circuit. Of course, track distance 5.4 kilometers. Top speeds of around 322 kilometers an hour. 29 laps for the 50% race. Around 16 turns and very little in the way of elevation change, just the 4 meters. We are in the desert. So all of the tracks here in the Middle East are pretty much flat, but in 2028, when the new Saudi Arabian track emerges, trust me, there's a lot of elevation change. I have a Williams going way off the circuit. That's Thiago. Hopefully no damage. I think there will be no damage because it's just the formation lap. Of course, if you do see any disqualifications, don't be alarmed. That's just drivers not getting their parking right. Thiago, Simps, last cars to get in their grid spots, both getting it wrong. There are the red lights, 4 of them, now 5 of them. When they go out, we get underway. It's going to be 10 laps for the sprint race. And we're quickly going to bring up some details on the screen. Seems like a pretty cut and dry. Everybody on a set of mediums. So Mango at the front, Logic P2, then Cheddar P3. Friendly quick drivers at the front. Then we've got Brands followed by Simps. It's Ferrari. They're side by side. Red Bull versus Mercedes. How many times have we seen that? Further up the road, still Logic and Mango. Towards the rear of the field, Spikes in the McLaren. Andre in the Aston Martin. So much smoke. I think it's worse than the spray in the rain. You don't even see Andre through that smoke. Then we've got Virus P12, Thiago Moisture knocking on the door of the points taking positions, but for now just going backwards. Where is that Williams? There he is. Does he have damage? Doesn't appear to be the case. That Williams going one way and it's the wrong way. So Mango leads at the front. Logic P2. Cars still very close together. Cheddar P3. This is all one long DRS train. Brands P4. Then Simps P5. Then we have the first gap of over a second. Not Shumi. Into P6. Now past It's Ferrari. Can get on with things. Try and catch up to Simps. Join that long DRS train ahead of him. That is for now just slightly out of reach. And goes sitting purple sectors. Of course, in these early laps, it's a good place to be. The lead. Got a clean racetrack ahead of you. Focus on your braking points, focus on your apexes, don't have to worry about too much more. Keep an eye on your mirrors every now and then, and that's about it. But if you're back there, if you're in the field, if you're in the DRS trains and you're part of the madness, sometimes the race can go awry, and it's not even your fault. It's simply too much action. Cars are now starting to spread out. Cheddar, P3, just behind Logic. Mango still leads and he's setting fastest laps, but he's by no means comfortable. Logic all over the back of the Ferrari. It's Ferrari Alpine, Mercedes, Red Bull, Sauber, and then an RB. So we've got 6 manufacturers in the top 6. Wouldn't that be a thing? The game being realistic to life, it appears there's only one Red Bull on track. Mango, gap now 0.6 of a second. Logic in P2 coming under all sorts of pressure from Cheddar. So while he wants to focus on Mango up the road and make sure he stays with that Ferrari, he's coming under all sorts of pressure from the Mercedes behind. Just has to do both jobs at once. This is Brands. Still part of that DRS train for the lead, but he has now shaken off Simps. 3 seconds back to the Sauber. Then you get It's Ferrari. Shumi got past It's Ferrari briefly, but It's Ferrari has taken that position back. There's not Shumi, the second Mercedes in P7. Then the second Alpine Pantry Star, P8. We saw a driver out of position, we know he's quicker than that. Then Top Gun P9, Mr. Rem just inside the points. Virus, Andre, Spikes and Tiago making up the field. Well, I'm sure you saw it on the top of your screens. Your leader, quickest man on the track right now, he's picked up a 3-second penalty, and that means his race has just changed a little bit. It's not going to be about just staying at the front, getting to the checkered flag first. Now there's going to be a few technicalities added to that. Not only does he have to get to the checkered flag first, he's going to have to get there with 3 seconds to spare. Panda in the comment section saying track limits are going to be an issue, and we're seeing it already. Quickest man in the field already making that mistake on just lap 4. Remember, this is a sprint race, it's just 10 laps. Feature race going to be 29 laps, and if you're picking up penalties on lap 3 or 4, well, giving yourself a very difficult job to do tonight. So Mango leads the way, but only by half a second. We all know he's got a penalty next to his name. Cheddar P2. All of the drivers now behind the Ferrari will be very much aware of that penalty. Just want to stay within the 3 seconds, but at the same time they want to make up positions. Logic doesn't want to simply sit in P3. Could have a situation where Cheddar says, I'm just going to stay as close to him as possible and win the race, but you can't do that because he's got pressure from behind. They want that position as well, and now they potentially know that is a race win if Mango isn't able to get far enough down the road. And at this point in time, doesn't look like he's able to shake those cars off. 0.6 of a second, still the gap. Everybody on the same set of tyres, so nobody's going to have a grip advantage or disadvantage towards the end of this race. We're on lap 5, so we are at halfway distance in the first of 2 races this evening. Of course, this is the shorter of the 2 sprint race. This is more than just a few handful of points. Remember, this will determine the grid for the feature race. Still half a second the gap at the front. Brands has actually made up a position on Logic, so that order has changed. Cheddar, Brands, now Logic the man at the rear of that DRS train. Then we've got SAFRL further back in P5. He's also got a lot of defending to do. In the DRS train behind him we've got Simps and Notsumi both attacking. Of course, this isn't just for the few points, this is for grid position in the feature race, the long race, the one that counts, the one for 25 points. First winner of this race just gets the 8 points, just the top 8 scoring points, unlike in a normal race where the top 10 would score points. 25 points go to the victor. In a sprint race, just the top 8, just a handful of points. This is the Mercedes-Benz of Cheddar, currently in P2, chasing Mango, where he's been for the majority of the race, just half a second away. It's actually shaken off Logic, so Logic and Brands must have gotten into it between the two of them, and they've actually lost contact with the leaders. So I think that will guarantee at least second place for Mango. But if Cheddar is able to stay this close for the remainder of the race, he'll most certainly take the victory, whether he makes the overtake or not. There's a battle for P3. Another penalty pops up on our screens. In fact, there's 2 more drivers with penalties. I presume all of that is for track limits. Let's just have a look. All of the penalties are track limits. 3 seconds apiece now for Simps, Notsumi and Mango. Simps won't mind too much. He's out of the points and at the rear of the field. But for Notsumi, that could potentially throw him out of the points, and for Mango it's going to cost him a race victory. It's the importance of staying out of that penalties column. And it's a warning for all the drivers going into the feature race. A reminder, if that's the sort of penalties you're racking up in a 10-lap race, then that feature race does not bode well for you. Mango still out front, Cheddar still P2, still within that 3-second penalty. Will still safely win the race, doesn't need to do anything silly. But I think on the inside he still wants to take that race victory on track. Just means that little bit more when you make the overtake yourself. Also shows a little statement of intent going into the feature race. Of course, if things remain this way, then Cheddar will be starting from pole position. He's had to follow not most of the way, he's had to follow all of the way in this race. Was part of a 5 or 6 car DRS train at a stage. Those cars dropped off one by one, and then eventually P3 and 4 were holding on for quite some time. They have now also dropped off. So these two in a league of their own. The only thing dividing them, a 3-second penalty on your timesheets. This is Brands, still in P3, holding on to that final podium spot. Sims picks up another 3-second penalty, so he'll be the first driver that I know of to get up to 6 seconds. Does not look good. 6 seconds in just 9 laps. Got to take note of where you're invalidating. If it's a specific corner, if it's a specific section of the track. And then you've really just got to make sure you just don't go over that line. Drive within yourself a little. Brake a little earlier into that specific corner. Whatever it is, you need to adjust that driving style. Can't continue picking up penalties at that rate. I said Cheddar wanted to make the overtake on track. Eventually he does. Goes around the outside of turn 1. It was a bit of a battle. The Ferrari did defend. Didn't just give it up. Of course now Cheddar leads with Mango now in P2 with that penalty, but P2 seems to be safe because Brands is a further 5 seconds down the road. And now, although there's a penalty at play, there isn't really a battle here. This is now just a battle of pride. Who's going to get to the checkered flag first? Ferrari locks up, looks towards the inside, will go on board with Mango in these late stages. Will he go for an overtake? Looks towards the outside. Mango just gives him nowhere to go. You can hardly see P3 and 4 though. They have fallen adrift. It's about as close as he's going to get. Almost loses the back end there on the exit. And that was a good way to get warmed up. Warmed up for the real thing. Cheddar over the line in P1. Did Mango pick up another penalty? He must have picked up another penalty that we didn't spot. But Mango's been dropped all the way to P4. We should see confirmation of those penalties in the official results. See if Cheddar went up to 6 seconds. Rather Mango, not Cheddar. Was expecting him to hold on to his P2. Rather fell down to P4. Cheddar gets driver of the day for the sprint race. He also gets the victory for the sprint race. Cheddar takes the victory. Brands P2 gets a nice promotion because of that penalty. Then Logic P3. Mango fell down to P4, just the 5 points. Then Isfari, not Shumi, Mr. M, and Virus making up the points. The rest of the field: Pantry P9, Andre P10, Top Gun 11, Tiago Maestro P12, Spikes 13, and Simps making up the field. And now we wait. Wait to see what happens next. Seems like I was wrong about that sprint race setting the order. Looks like we're going to have another. We're having another one-shot quali. Seems like we are having another one-shot quali. Of course, apologies at home. I'll give you the best coverage when it comes to the one-shot quali. You only see the one car at a time, and every time I flick through them, the screen's going to do that. course, the way you can tell who's ahead at this very moment is you look at that timing sheet on the left. There's no times attached to it, there's no deltas attached to it, but that order is the order around the track at the moment, who's quickest, who's slowest. Seems like Mango has made a serious error, maybe left the race circuit because he's down in P14. Penalties, approach the sprint race, feature race, not getting us to the start he would have wanted. We're riding with the Alpine because the Alpine is the quickest so far, goes around the final corner, just needs to hold the last few meters of this circuit together, and he does get the purple. So we'll wait for those official results. We should be heading off to our feature race. So Logic takes pole, Cheddar P2, then Brands P3, it's Ferrari P4, Sims P5, Matsumi P6, then Tiago Maestro, Mr. M, Virus, and Andre making up the top 10. Just outside the top 10, we've got Pantry Star P11, Spikes P12, Top Gun 13, and Mango disqualified. So that will explain that. And again, we look at the empty pit lane. Tiago making a prediction that Mango from last to first, maybe giving himself a bit of a challenge, who knows. Well, if he was still able to win the race, that would just rub salt into the wounds. Lots of sandbagging, lots of mind games. See so many drivers on Discord saying they haven't practiced, they haven't turned a lap. And then they show up here and all is revealed. Again, get the green lights. That means we're off for a formation lap. One more chance for everybody to have a look at the circuit before they have to drive around it at racing speed. Remember, the first few laps, very, very crucial. Lots of action out on track. You want to be part of the action. But you don't want to be in the pits at the end of lap 1. You want to be part of the action. You just don't want to be a victim of the action. Just those stats up again. 5.4 kilometer circuit, speeds of approximately 320 kilometers an hour, 29 laps for the 50% race, 16 turns, and nothing in the way of elevation change. Lots of weaving from the Alpine. is to get every little bit of temperature into those tyres as possible. A lot of the drivers complaining on this game about tyre temps, especially on the harder compounds. It'll take a lot longer than they expected to get temperature into those harder compounds. Makes a big difference at the start here if you decide to go on a set of softs. As I say that, we bring up the tyre screen immediately, and just the one soft runner in the field. It's the man in P6. It's not Shimmy. Watch him off the line. Logic not getting his parking straight. That will be a good omen for Cheddar heading into turn 1. Not the best camera angle. Unfortunately, that's up to the game. We're underway. Hopefully this camera angle, there we go, much better. It's Logic versus Brands into turn 1, and Brands comes out on top for now, but they're going to have to go side by side into yet another corner, and this time it's Logic that holds out, stays in front. Brands P2, now Cheddar in P3. Remember, that was the driver of the day in the sprint race, as well as your winner. As a result of Mango picking up some serious penalties in that race. Of course, most of the field starting on the medium compound. Those drivers will be familiar with the compound from the sprint race. They'll know how the car should feel around here. There are a few drivers at the front, like Logic and Cheddar. They've gone up for the hard compound, so they're looking to go much deeper on into this race. There's always a risk of an early safety car. Guys on the softer compounds come in, get rid of the tyre. Guys on the hard compounds, tyre hasn't done its job yet. They feel forced to stay out, hold on to track position. Sometimes giving away free pit stops to half the field. Can create a very distorted result at the end of the race. But at the moment, it's a Logic versus Brands. Cheddar was there for the sprint race. It's a spectator between these two in the feature race, just watching what the Logic and Brands are up to. They're going side by side, corner after corner. You want to be close enough to take advantage of the mistake, but not close enough to be part of the mistake. So Cheddar close behind, but he's definitely not joining that duel to become a 3-wide battle. As I say that, the Mercedes getting very close to the back of the Red Bull. There was almost contact there. Very nicely controlled. Like I say, you want to be close enough to make the most of any mistake. But if you're too close, you can simply run into that mistake. Top 3 very close together, then a little bit of a drop down to Simpson P4, it's Furry P5. In fact, there is no drop. It's a DRS train all the way down to P9. So everyone from P1 down to P9. No gaps larger than a second, everyone within DRS. Of course, we had a race here last night that was wet from start to finish. We had no DRS at all. Night, no risk of rain in the desert, and lots of DRS to play with. Brand still out front, Logic still P2, Cheddar still holding on in P3. He's got the best view in the house. Just to see these guys side by side, just to watch the madness. It's Furry. He's now dropped back from the top 3. He has broken that long DRS train. He now leads a DRS train of his own. Quite a long queue there behind him, all the way down to They're all the way down to P14. There's a DRS train behind the Selva in P5. In fact, from Paris, so from P4 all the way down to P14, everyone within a second of the next car. Brands over the line for the fastest lap of the race. Logic still P2, now Cheddar starting to show his front wing to the Alpine, telling him you better get on with it or I'm going to pass you. For now, Brand's not able to get away at the front, but if Brand does start to extend that gap, I think we will see action from the Mercedes driver. When we get past Logic, wants to go challenge for the lead. Someone we haven't been speaking about much. Remember, led the race for much of the sprint race, got some nasty penalties at the end. Motored him all the way down to P4. Might have thought that was a pretty average drive. P4 for Mango would be an average drive, but he was only in P4 as a result of those penalties. He wasn't there on pace. Now in the feature race, he's able to show a little bit of that pace. And he's also able to show his overtaking ability. He's come down from P14 all the way to P5, and this is before a pit window. Not using a soft set of tyres to come through the field, he's doing it on a set of hards. I think nobody expected him to be all the way up in P5 on lap 5. Maybe he just wanted to make sure he got driver of the day. Start from the rear, make up this many positions. I think it's already pretty much confirmed he's driver of the day. Still a lot more work to do. Have a look, there is Mango. The rate at which he's catching these cars. Past Simpson and S3 was a little bit of a gap. Close that gap down completely. He's within DRS. He's getting ready to challenge that RB. He's starting to line him up. Sometimes his driver will follow his opponent for a lap or two, see where his weaknesses are, and then take advantage. But Mango's not doing that. Simply driving up to people and passing them. Of course, as he gets to the top of the field, that will become a little bit more difficult for him as the drivers around him start to match his speed. There's more than just one quick driver here in the field, so Mango's not going to have it all his own way. In the words of Murray Walker, catching is one thing, getting by is another. Billy's saying, I'm not sure what you mean, but Billy saying that Mango's definitely on something. Well, he's on the move. He's in P4, he's got past S3, now he's got a 2.8 second gap to the top 3. And while these top 3 are still awfully close together, and as they engage with each other more and more, that's just going to help Mango close that gap even quicker. It's already closed it somewhat. It's 2.5 seconds between him and these 3 at the front. He's about to join the party. Simps picks up a 3-second penalty. Top Gun picks up a 3-second penalty. So Simps up to 6 already in the early stages of the race. Billy saying that the Ferrari needs to be checked after the race for powdery substances. I'm gonna pretend like I don't know what you mean. Brands still leads the way. Logic just behind in the Alpine. Then Cheddar P3, but now you can see that Ferrari, it's getting closer. In fact, it's not getting closer, 2.7 seconds. So he's made the overtakes, now having a little bit more of a difficult time catching up to the top three. Penalties popping up on the screen, left, right and centre now. Let's just have a look. It's 3 seconds apiece for Virus and Top Gun, and 6 seconds now for Simps. Mango will be well aware that the penalties cost him in the first race. He'll know where he got those penalties, he'll know where he got those warnings. He's slightly watching himself. He needs to do a lot of work in order to catch up to these guys. Can't be getting penalties. Top Gun becomes the first driver to pick up a penalty that is not track limit related. Comes into the pits, gets a 10-second penalty, and for good measure has to change his wing as well. Brands still out front, 4/10 of a second, so these gaps here at the front very consistent, nobody dropping off between these three cars. Mango now is making ground on the top three. That gap was 2.5, then went up briefly. Now it's all the way down to 1.9 seconds, and once Mango gets it within a second, he's going to be within DRS. He's going to join that trio up front, make it a quartet. Hopefully he just joins the party and he doesn't just ruin the party. Those three still very close together on lap 9. Remember, this is almost the full distance of the sprint race we just watched. Third of the race has already gone by. It's going by very quickly tonight. How do you take your eyes off these three? Further back, we have more DRS battles. Simps defending from Thiago, defending from Mr. Rem. And we have Andre defending from the second Alpine. Those are points paying positions, P9 and P10. Then Spike's Virus, not Shumi. He's come in and put on a new set of tyres, it appears. Top Gun P14. Back at the front, Brands still leads the way. Remember, he's on the medium. 3 cars behind him on a set of hards. Now, look at this. 1 to the left, 1 to the right. There was not much he could do. He's trying to hold on to at least one of those positions, and he's going to lose both of them. One up the inside, one up the outside. You're trying to allow space for both. And in the process, you don't get the run out of the corner. Just find yourself in the middle of the track where you really want to be, nowhere near the racing line. You lose all momentum. Instead of losing just the one position, you'll end up losing both. Logic into the lead of the race. Cheddar now P2. Brands, he's led the race for so long. Now down into P3, and he's soon going to come under pressure from the red car behind him. Yeah, Panda talking about the DRS. Of course, I've mentioned it before. If you're in DRS and the driver ahead of you is consistently, let's say consistently 2 or 3 tenths faster than you, with those DRS zones, it cancels out that difference. So even if that driver is a little quicker, you're able to hold on to him, even though you really shouldn't. But once that DRS train breaks, things become a lot more difficult. Then those 2 or 3 tenths start to build up, have no more DRS to cancel them out. See your opponent getting further and further down the road. Logic, Cheddar, Brands. And I think now we can officially add Mango to the list. He is now definitely up there with the top 4. Brands getting the car out of shape. I wonder if this is now the mediums saying they've had enough. He's done a great job to stay in front for as long as he did, but he couldn't do anything into turn 1 on that last lap. I wonder if we're just going to see him peel off into the pits, because at this race he's going to have a very difficult time defending P3. And go all over the back of Brands. Nice camera angle looking back at the Ferrari. To see using all of the curves on the inside, all of the curves on the outside. That's when you know these guys are pushing. It's when they're using every bit of racetrack available to them. Mango has picked up the penalty as he did in the sprint race. And that'll just hurt. He knows he's one of the quickest men on the circuit. But when the field is this close, you can't afford to have penalties next to your name. Battle at the front. Logic, Cheddar. That's as close as you're going to get without making contact. The Alpine towards the inside, the Mercedes on the outside, and Logic holds on to the lead. For how much longer? 3 very quick cars just behind him. Lap 12 of 29. The only penalty there in the top 4 drivers is for Mango. He's at the rear of those 4 drivers, so he needs to turn that around, get to the front and build some sort of a gap. Doesn't want to repeat of the sprint race. Cheddar now challenges for the lead, goes up the inside. He's going to have to hold on a little longer. The Alpine goes slightly off track. That was Brands just taking back P2. Logic now falling down the order. I was wondering if Brand's tyres were just falling off and that was him falling back and possibly getting passed by Mango, but he's retaken that position. Almost a repeat of what we saw a few laps ago. 1 car going each side of the Red Bull. Logic, he's made it count. He's in the lead of the race again. Cheddar P2. Brands P3 and Mango still doing everything he can. Look at that, we just got that camera angle at the right time. Wonder if there was contact. They were so close, surely there was something. Now Mango gets the car sideways. Maybe just tried to get on the accelerator. Car was having nothing of it, or he just couldn't get it stopped. One of the only ways to overtake when all of your opponents are just as quick as you. Becomes a battle of the late breakers. Makes some for some fantastic overtakes, but it can also end in tears. Logic out front, Cheddar P2, Brands P3, Mango still in P4. Remember, he made a mistake. That Red Bull has dived into the pits, so Mango promoted up into P3. Made that little error on the exit of the corner. That's why he's almost a second adrift from the 2 ahead. These two continue to engage lap after lap. It's a challenging drive, this. When you're in that podium position throughout the race, and at no point in the race is it comfortable. Constantly staring at the car ahead, waiting for any sort of a mistake, any sort of an opportunity, and all the while you've got to have it in the back of your mind that the driver behind you is doing the very same thing. Advantage for the driver in the front is that he doesn't have to worry about getting past anyone, just needs to worry about defense. Disadvantage for driver in the front is he's the only one that's not going to get DRS. Ferrari now dives into the pits. That's Mango on a set of hards. So I think that's the first hard runner to pull the trigger. He's jumped out of this battle, maybe looking for the undercut. I think that could be a possibility. We might see Cheddar and Logic react on the very next lap. Or we could see them simply stay out there. They've got the pace for the time being. Cheddar's still out front. Logic still P2, but nothing in it. His positions are far from guaranteed. There we see Mango rejoining the circuit, and he should just get out ahead of the Red Bull. He does. So Brands did that first stint of the race on the medium. He's going to have to finish the race on the hard. Now he's just made his life a little bit more difficult. He's put a 3-second penalty next to his name. Lap 15 of 29. We've now just passed the 50%, the halfway distance. Now Logic comes into the pits. So Cheddar he's now I believe he's the only one of those three that started on hard that's still out there on the hard compound. Logic has now come into the pits. Mango's come into the pits. Brands has come into the pits. Of course, Brands started on the medium, so he's out of sync with those drivers around him. Would have had the advantage in the first stint, having the softer of the compounds available. Now in the second stint, it's going to have to do it with the harder tyre. It's going to have less grip. It's going to have more life. It's going to feel better at the end. But in the initial stages, he's going to have trouble getting temperature into those tyres. Speaking of Brands, here he is, P4. Logic quite a way behind him, 3.7 seconds. You can just see one Alpine in frame, and there's another Alpine very much in frame. If Brands gets past Pantry Star, I don't think that was too difficult for Brands. He's on a brand new set of hards. Pantry Star on a 15-lap old set of hards, taking those hards deeper into the race than anyone else. Cheddar also 15 laps on the hards, but now the leader comes into the pits. He's got a lead of 21.3 seconds over Mango, so I think he's going to be able to get out of here. He's going to be able to get out of here in the lead of the race. Where is Cheddar? He's heading down the pit lane. Mango already on the pit straight. I think Mango's actually got the lead of this race. Thought 21 seconds would be enough. 21 seconds is not enough. He needed more like 23 or 24, because Mango has taken the lead of the race. Man that started right at the rear of the field in P14. He's now made his way up into the lead of the race. He's got penalties next to his name, as he did in the sprint race. But Brands, the man in P2, well, he's got a lot more to worry about than that. He's got a 3-second penalty for track infringements, then he's got a separate 10-second penalty for pit infringements. So if he doesn't make another pit stop, 13 seconds will be added to his lap time. Simply another 3-second penalty, collecting them at this stage. Cheddar in P3, crucially no penalties next to his name, and that could be a deciding factor in this race. Logic as well, no penalties next to his name. Then it's Ferrari P5. Let's have a look at those penalties for Simps. Oh, more than I expected. I thought he was up to 9, but in fact he's up to 18 seconds. So Simps not having the night he would have liked, just not coming to terms with this Qatar layout. Further back in the field, some of the drivers not getting any coverage to speak of because they're having lonely races. Spikes P10, lonely race. Andre P9, lonely race. Notsumi P8, also in a lonely race. Everybody in a lonely race. This is the result of a safety car-less race. Of course, I shouldn't have said that word. Just got a, well, if you didn't think the curse was real, there's your confirmation. Commentator's curse. Said there had not been a safety car, and before I could finish saying what I was saying, there we go. Luckily it seems to just be a virtual safety car. Of course, we saw races on Thursday night and Sunday night where it said virtual, but it was a full safety car. But this one does appear to be just a virtual, no evidence of a safety car on track. And Sims picking up another 3-second penalty. I think there is a limit on the penalties. You can't simply go as high as you can. I think it gets somewhere in the 20s, and then a disqualification does come through somewhere in the high 20s. Maybe it's a 30 seconds worth of penalties, I'm not sure what it is. Still have a caution. Track seems green. Caution is only in sector 3. Now Simps out of the race at DNF. Thought it might be a DSQ, but it's a DNF. Just didn't have a good race. Didn't come to terms with the circuit. Mango now leads. 4-second gap at the front. Just to confirm, he's got 3 seconds worth of penalties. Then Cheddar P2 will be aware of that 3-second penalty. 3.7 seconds adrift on the track, but on the timing screens he's only going to be 7/10 adrift. So while Cheddar would love to win this race by making the overtake, his first priority, get within 3 seconds. Logic sets the fastest sector 3 of the race so far, so Logic also on the move. Remember, these drivers at the front, the top 3 specifically, they had to deal with the first stint of the race with the hard compound. Now they're going to have the better option available for the second stint. They're going to be able to throw this car around even more. They're going to have even more confidence, that extra little bit of grip. But at the same time, you've got to take care of them, because in the last 2 or 3 laps you could be holding on to your tyre life and you'll start falling down the order. Mango's still out front, doing enough. That gap was 3.7, it's now 3.8, back to 3.7, so he's just keeping it there, keeping it consistent, matching all of his opponents on track. just making sure he stays on the right side of that 3-second barrier. As for Cheddar, well, he can't take a breath. He's had logic around him the entire race. These two have made up positions, they've gone side by side, they've almost made contact. And after 21 laps, they still find each other very close together on circuit. Mango, keep on looking at that gap because it's a crucial gap. It's a gap that could determine the race victory. Mango's still doing enough, 3.8 seconds. Cheddar P2, he knows he needs to get on with it, but he's been fighting logic the entire race. The more these two interact, the more these two battle for position, the more this race will go the way of the Ferrari team. The only Ferrari out on track this evening. And flying the flag high in the absence of his teammate. Andre now in P7, still having a lonely race. Doesn't have much he can do from this position. Just needs to keep the car in a straight line, get it to the checkered flag, and hope for the misfortune of others ahead of him. Of course, he's 8 seconds adrift from Thiago Maestro, and then has a 7-second advantage to the car behind him. So he'll feel like he's in the middle of nowhere. In case you didn't see it on screen, let me just confirm it for you. Mango up to 6 seconds worth of penalties now, and the race has just swung in the other direction. Logic now also in the penalties column. Remember, Brands also in the penalties column, so a lot of these drivers at the top of the field. Yeah, just as I was reading your comment, I was about to say Logic's picked up a 3-second penalty, so it looked like these two are in a battle for the lead. Then suddenly Logic took himself out of the equation. Brands behind him also has a penalty, and I think he has far more penalties. I think he's up to 13. In fact, 16 seconds worth of penalties for Brands. Luckily, there are some pretty large gaps in the field. Had there been a full safety car, anyone without a penalty would be in a very, very strong position right now. So Mango out front, but he's not leading this race on the timing sheets. If we're going by the timing sheets, this is your leader. Cheddar in P2, still hasn't been able to shake off Logic in P3. Regardless of those penalties, Logic's P3 is pretty safe. Brands has got 16 seconds. That would only cost him one position, because that's the gap between P5 and 6, a 15-second gap. Gap at the front, 2.8 seconds. So Cheddar very much in the lead of this race at the moment. Mango, keep on talking about 3 seconds, I keep on forgetting. It's gone up to 6. Of course, had Logic not picked up that penalty, he could have also found a promotion up the field. And Mango picked up 6 seconds in the sprint race. He's picked up another 6 in the feature race. And now not Shumi. Picks up a 3-second penalty. Logic just left the circuit there, ran wide. Of course, if you don't slow down suitably, get back on the racetrack, you usually do get handed a warning. Last thing he needs is to add another 3 seconds. Of course, the car behind him has a 16-second gap, so Logic is pretty safe, regardless of if he picks up another penalty now or not. Cheddar just wants to stay out of the penalties column. There's no reason why he should join the penalties column. He should be the driver now that doesn't feel the pressure. Car behind him has a penalty, car ahead of him has a penalty. He just needs to stay away from the white line, stay out of the penalty column and bring this car home. Won the sprint race as well as the feature race. And Mango had an incredible drive from the rear of the field. He's going to win this race, but loses due to penalties. Penalties coming back to bite the Ferrari twice in one night. Virus at the rear of the field, P12, not Shumi. In P11, but he's looking at a points position. Strike's just ahead of him. Mr. Rem not far away either in P9. Those three cars actually very close together and fighting for points positions. That briefly it looked like they were going to go 3 wide between the 3 of them. We have a caution flashing on our screens. Anyone at the front will be praying that's all it is, and it's disappeared from our screens as quickly as it appeared. Mango's still in the lead. But remember, take this entire leaderboard with a pinch of salt. We are now in the safety car safe zone. Lap 26 of 29. We can have no more, at least full safety cars at this point. I don't know if I've ever seen a virtual safety car in the last 3 laps. But I know once we're in the last 3 laps, it definitely cannot trigger a full safety car. So drivers further back that were hoping for a safety car to come out and mix things up at the end, they'll be a little disappointed. Safety carless race, just the one virtual safety car more or less in the middle of the race. Of course, the virtual doesn't neutralize the race as a full safety car does. It's 26 of 29. Reminder to the drivers, top 3 drivers in the race, as well as the driver of the day for the feature race, are invited to the cool down room on the NFR Discord server. I'll then bring you into the comms box. Can have a little chat about the events that transpired here this evening. Mango starts lap 27 of 29, and he'll be cursing those penalties. Can only imagine the frustration inside the cockpit. He's had the pace, he's done enough on track, he's done all the overtakes possible. From P14 to the lead, you can't do much more than that. But along the way, he picked up penalties that cancelled out so much of that hard work. Logic in P3. This looks like he's backed off after he got that penalty. Just fallen off the back of Cheddar. He showed that he could match Cheddar lap after lap. They're on the same compound. But for now, I just can't stay with Cheddar anymore ever since he got that penalty. He almost looks like he's backed off. Maybe he's got a penalty and he's got another 2 warnings next to his name. Doesn't want to pick up another penalty, just trying to drive within the lines. As a result, he's just falling adrift. Does he have damage on the Alpine? Seems to have both his end plates. just not able to stay with Cheddar as he was for a majority of the race. Lap 28 of 29, 2 laps to go. Gap at the front, 2.5 seconds. Cheddar doing enough to take the victory in this race. Then we have Logic P3. It's going to be good enough to hold on to P3. Fran's just a second behind, but he's got a ridiculous amount of penalties next to his name. So any overtakes he makes towards the end of the race, I think, are going to end up being fruitless. It's Ferrari further back in a race of his own. There's no one around. It's when you can make the silliest mistakes. It's when you've been driving alone for a little too long. Just starts thinking about something else, thinking about what's happening tomorrow morning. And you just need to do it for a microsecond on the wrong part of the race circuit. And that's the end of everything. Of course, we've got quite a few viewers here for Tier 1. Popular stream on the Monday night. Everyone who's joined us, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you stay after to see if we do get some of those drivers in for an interview. Of course, if you are new to the channel, we upload here 4 times a week. SAFRL Tier 1 and 2 on a Monday and a Wednesday. DRS on a Thursday at 7:30, not 8 o'clock. And then SKR on a Sunday at 6 PM. So if you do like what you see, if you want to join some of these guys out on track, remember to subscribe to the channel so you can see every video we upload, every stream we do. And of course, if you want to go back in time, have a look at races from SAFRL, DRS or SKR, we have everything archived in playlists, season by season, round by round. And go back and have a look. No real change at the front, everybody maintaining order for now. The only DRS battle on track is this one here. It's not Shumi versus Pantry Star, but it's going to not result in much, because even if not Shumi can make a late overtake, he's got a penalty next to his name. Checkered flag has fallen. Drivers will now filter over the line, and we may see jumps in the field as a result of the penalties. So we're just going to wait for everybody to come over the line so we can read those official results. Great drive from Mango. Even with that 6 seconds worth of penalties, he was able to hold on to P2 from starting from the rear of the field. But Cheddar, it's been the class of the field this evening. It's been in front when it counted the most, and he didn't pick up penalties in either race. Spikes, the last man over the line, and surely, where is your driver of the day? Could only be one man, and there it is, Mango, driver of the day. So we should just have the 3 drivers in the cool down room, because the driver of the day is also in the top 3. I didn't mute in time, so copyright for me, fun times. Cheddar takes the victory. Let's just do that. There we go. Cheddar takes the victory. Mango P2 with the fastest lap, so he'll get 19 points for the round. Logic P3, so those 3 drivers invited to the cool down room, Cheddar, Mango and Logic. Then Brands P4, It's Ferrari P5, Tiago Maestro P6, Andre finishing in P7 with some nice points, Pantry Star P8, Mr. M P9, and Not Shumi taking the final point. Finishing the race, but not in the top 10. No points on the night. Spikes P11, Virus P12, and then the retirements of Simps and Top Gun. Welcome to Mango, also in the comment section. It's great to see all you guys here after the race. So now we're just going to give it a minute or two, see if anyone wants to join the cool down room, or if the guys are feeling mic shy. Sometimes we have a full room, sometimes we have an empty room. So we're going to give it a minute or two to see if anybody does want to join. And of course, if you're watching, stay with us. And if you are invited to the cool down room, remember to mute the device you're listening to this stream on. Otherwise, you're going to hear yourself and you're going to hear me twice. I will just wait a little longer, see if anyone wants to join. But of course, what a race. We had a sprint evening. One-shot quali determined the order for the sprint. Then we had another one-shot quali to determine the order for the feature race. We had some standout names performing well in both of those races. But in both of those races, penalties played a part. Well, for now, it seems like it's going to be one of those nights where everybody's feeling a little mic shy. Not camera shy. Even I feel camera shy. Well, I don't think anybody's going to join. So I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone who watched the stream. Thank you for being with us throughout. We've had a consistent viewer count throughout the videos, so that means you guys have been here throughout since the beginning of the broadcast. Thank you to everyone who joined. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. And of course, if you've already subscribed, leave a like on the video. It really helps us out. And I'll be back Wednesday night, SAFRL yet again, at this circuit yet again, with Tier 2. Different set of drivers, different night, same circuit, same action, same commentator. I hope to see you then. If I don't, DRS on Thursday, SKR on Sunday. I'm sure I'll see you soon. Till then, cheers.